articles. I use it when I'm writing books. I even use it when I'm writing some of my podcasts. But it is a all-around versatile tool that you can use just to get your thoughts straight um, when you're getting ready to write something. It's called a mind map. And let me bring it up here. And you can see that a mind map is it's kind of like an outline, but it really isn't. Um, this is the mind map for my next book that I'm working on in the Year of My Life VR series. Um, what it does, and you can use the mouse to make it bigger here, which we'll do, and we'll shift it over a little. Here we go. Okay. So what it is that I take all the thoughts of what I want to put into the mix. Think of it as baking a cake. These are all the ingredients, and you go a little wild. It doesn't have to be just these ingredients, just the main ingredients. You can throw in a whole bunch of stuff, even if you don't use it. And that's the beauty of a mind map. It allows you to see all the things you want to do and see whether any of them work or don't work. I like to say this is what you use before you start outlining, if indeed you're one of those writers who outlines. Some don't. They're called seat of the pants writers, and they kind of just write. I don't do that because I find that it's too unstructured and it ends up being, in my mind, too confusing to the reader. But this is a way to get all your ideas down and see if any of them work, and you can mix and match. For instance, part of the next book deals with human trafficking. In fact, that's the main mystery plot. Now, that's not the crime that's going to happen, although it is a crime. But I had to get all this information about human trafficking and then segment it so that it worked right. So, for instance, um, and I get this stuff from reading, from watching TV, um, listening to podcasts, you name it. You can get it from anywhere. So the main thing is, obviously, I had to put a title on what this was. And the main thing was, obviously, the book, which is this. Now, I wanted to get AI into the mix because AI is everything these days. And I wanted to keep the book as current as I possibly could. So, at some point, I want to put AI in there, but that's kind of sitting out there all by itself because I don't know really what to do with it yet. Um, but I wanted to figure out all the ways that human trafficking occurs. There's a group called Missing and Exploited Black People. It's an actual group that I could get information from. My mouse is acting weird today. Um, there's alleged trafficking victims who accepted jobs posted on Facebook to work in the Philippines to find players for online games. I didn't make that up. I saw that on the news about 3 weeks ago. Human trafficking is the main subject, and along with that, I had an idea for a plot line. Now, I'm not saying that streamer girls, e-girls, are trafficked. I don't think they are, but that is my subplot, and I'll tell you why. In the area of human trafficking, you go to streamer girls, and then there's one Amaranth. There's a streamer girl who I think is pretty smart, pretty real, and actually I'm trying to trying to get her to let me use her in the book. Then you have Russia kidnapping Ukrainian children. Putin has an arrest warrant out for himself. There's an arrest warrant out because they say he's kidnapping Ukrainian children. He says he isn't. That ties in with the war in Ukraine, and that ties in with Putin. Now, the great thing about a mind map is you can move things around. For instance, let's say, oh, and there's Walk Free, which is a online index of global slavery. So now, let's say I wanted to put this over there. You just take it, and you can literally just move it anywhere the space will give you space. And you can do something that's kind of unusual, and you can take this. I can do it here. And you can tie it into, say, Russia's mouse is not working, so if this doesn't work, bear with me. Um, by the way, if you click twice, there we go. You can have a new node coming out from the middle, and you can actually name it anything you want. For instance, human trafficking is prevalent in prostitution. I live in Las Vegas, and people don't realize it, but prostitution is not legal in Las Vegas. It is not legal in Clark County. It's illegal about 90 minutes north of me in the county town of Pahrump. Pahrump. So, but for the purposes of this, we're going to say Las Vegas. Now, as I said, I may not end up using any of these, or I may end up using all of them. I'm just getting my thoughts down on digital paper. And it doesn't have to be in outline form. This is just like free association. It's like free thought. And if I can get my mouse to work here, and it doesn't seem to want to be, you can take this. Come on. Come on, mouse. Here we go. If you put one on top of the other, for instance, I'm going to try to tie this in together. You put it over, you see how the other one becomes blue as well. If you let it go, you can either create a connection or move it. In this case, I want to make a connection. So, now I've made the connection between prostitution, Las Vegas, and then an arrow going to missing and exploited black people. That's kind of like a secondary connection. And that's why it's called a mind map, because you can move it all over the place. And basically, you create a map of all the thoughts that are in your mind and uh, the research that you do to see if it works. I mean, you can look at this and see, okay, I've got prostitution, and let's get the mouse back. There we go. I got Las Vegas. I'm missing and exploited black people. Does that work? Well, yes, it may work on a secondary scale. So we've got that. We can take the Walk Free's Global Slavery Index. Let's do that one. Light it up. You take it and you move it up to here. There we go, until it lights up. And we'll make a connection there. Now, the other thing you could do, so now you have a connection between the Global Slavery Index and this. Now, you can also move things to a new, for instance, new host. For instance, if we take this and we move it here to where it lights up, there we go. We can actually move it. So we don't have that connection in a long way, you have it in a direct way. So now we're linking prostitution on this side with human trafficking, with streamer girls, which is, as far as I can find out, fictional. I may be wrong, but I haven't found out any evidence to the contrary. And then to Amaranth. But on this side, we have Las Vegas and the missing and exploited black children, black people, which may have a more indirect route, which is why we have these arrows. So that's the way it works. It allows you to play with it and kind of get your thoughts down and connected. And you can keep changing it around. And from there, what I usually do is, I'll show you something. There's a way of, let's do this here. Okay. You can also get rid of stuff. But the other thing you can do, there we go. We bring up the, it was just up here. There we go. Come on, mouse. Do your thing. Okay. The other thing you can do is you can then cut and paste in the normal way, or I'll show you some of the things you can do. You can export it. You can reset it. You can export it to something else. Out of mind map. Or you can just copy it and use it as part of a broader scheme in terms of your outline. And I use another thing called Scrivener. We'll go into that later. It's a little bit more involved than this is. This is pretty cut and dry. It's kind of like operating on a whiteboard, but on a digital scale. And you can save it, which eventually I like to do. So let's save this. Come on, mouse. And we save it. So that's basically what a mind map does. It just helps free your mind. And we can get rid of the menu just by clicking again. Helps free all the thoughts in your mind and get them down on digital paper. And it gives you something to look at, to see whether this map that you've laid out of your story will actually work for the reader. And again, we're writing for the reader, we're not writing for ourselves. So it allows you to think about what the reader sees when they look at something like this. And that's just a short introduction. What I'm going to do now is, just before we go here, I'm going to stop sharing this. You'll see my big head in a minute. There it is. And we're going to look at this. Just in case you were wondering what the finished product might look like, this is my website. These are the platforms I'm simultaneously on when I'm doing this. But you can also get a free copy of my book. It's totally free. It's on Amazon for nothing. And occasionally they put a 99-cent price on it, and then I get in touch with them and they put it back down to zero. But in case they do, you can see a preview of it. You can read a preview of it. It's on every other platform, and there are links to every other platform. And it's also free on this month till the end of July. It's free on Smashwords. So you can check that out and check out some of my other writing. And it's available on all these platforms. Let me show you all the other platforms it's available on. It's available on all these platforms. And if you go to back to my website, you can see other samples of my writing. I pretty much use the same procedure for everything I write, whether it's an essay or whether it's a magazine article or books or my podcast. I use the same procedure, and it utilizes mind map. And again, I'll show you Scrivener at a later date. But that is it. And just another tool to use. By the way, mind map. You don't have to use Espresso. You could use, there are literally dozens of mind maps out there. Just do a search in the Play Store, or if you're using Apple, you can go to that store and just do a search for mind map. And some of them will show up. Some of them are free. Some of them are just a nominal fee, like you can buy it for $2.99, $3.99. That's it. But you just find the one that works best for you. So, in any event, that is it. I will be back and be working on my writing some more. I hope you join me. Until then, be good to yourself. Be good to everyone else. And take care. And I'm going to go. Oops. I'm going to go sign off here. Until the next time. So you take care of yourselves.